As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. As an American, I've been to the peaks of majestic mountains where the air is sweet. I've watched the eagle as it soars in beautiful skies that just can't be ignored. And by this country I'll always stand, for freedom and liberty for every man. When times are hard and things get rough, America always stands ready and rough. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. Forever American is what I am.
Hello, welcome to Real News Live. Thank you guys for all being here tonight. And remember, please, if you can afford to donate to a family, every dollar counts. The link is in the chat below. Hello, Richard. Hello, Rodney. Hello, Nana. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Corinne. Hello, Tia. BK. Jeff. Karen. Debbie, how you guys doing tonight? Hopefully, and Rochelle. Brenda. A lot going on today, of course. You know, inflation is still up 6% unadjusted. That's unadjusted. Adjusted inflation is well over last month of 6.4%. Don't let them fool you on that. Along with all these bank closures and everything else going on, and Biden wants to cap inflation on medications. So what are pharmaceutical companies going to do? Honestly, a lot of this and more tonight we're going to talk about. This is crazy out there, though, what's happening. Watch inflation numbers come in, you know, they've been slowing. December was 6.5, January 6.4. Now we're looking at unadjusted as a 6.0, but adjusted inflation rate is actually well above that. That's the crazy part, is nobody's talking about the adjusted inflation rate for February is actually above the 6.0 unadjusted rate. That's the rate they're giving the public because they don't want them to know that our inflation is on the gain again. It's not just going down. Inflation is actually up 0.4% of what it was last month. So we're up 6.8% with adjustments. This is crazy. Inflation's going back up. Bank failures and everything else happening. Consumers and businesses are laying off people at record rates. Bank failures are proving a sign that once cost maybe on the way down, the whole economy is down. It's actually 6.8%. Last one was 6.4, and we're 4% up from last month after adjustment. Down 5% from last January, I guess. I don't know. It's confusing. That's honestly confusing watching inflation numbers come out because the numbers they give you and what they actually are two different things. Hi, Brenda. How you doing tonight? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And the U.S. is paying a record amount of interest on its own debt. And it's only going to get worse right now. Planning on, of course, raising the cost of the American debt ceiling. Like many Americans, the federal government is shelling out a lot more money to cover interest payments on its own debt. After a series of the Federal Reserve rate hikes over the past year, the Treasury Department paid a record $213 billion in interest on national debt in the last quarter. It's up $63 billion from the same period earlier that year. I mean, this is crazy. It's $30 billion more than a prior quarter, and $63 billion to the prior year quarter. People don't understand this national debt crisis is a huge issue because as national debt gets bigger, these interest payments of $213 billion, almost $1 trillion a year in interest right now we're paying the United States government. And it's going to get worse. It's not a question. I mean, the Federal Reserve raising rates to 4.25% last year alone, I mean, was a huge increase. And now we're expecting another quarter point for this month. I mean, it's one thing after another. Interest rates as they go up, the debt ceiling of $31 trillion wants to be increased again. If Congress increases that, if they don't, it's a catastrophic default. If they do, it's still going to cause more debt payment to be made. Of course, increasing the national debt even faster. We can't afford to pay our bills, much less the debt on our bills and the money we're borrowing. This is crazy. Of the $5 trillion annual budget around, $1 trillion of it's already going to the interest on the national debt. $1 trillion of it. We wonder why they're looking at wartime and looking at pushing us into war. That may be why. I mean, the interest cost will triple, more than $3 billion per day with the next increase. $3 billion a day. Can you imagine that? Once they approve this new budget to increase the national debt, at the same time they're going to increase the interest rate. Yeah, war to cover the debt. That's the only way to wash the debt away is, of course, go to war with a country that we owe debt to, like China. $5.9 trillion alone there. Credit Suisse, though, one of the biggest backers, said it can't put more cash, and it's down by a fifth right now. Of course, we know if it goes down a full 10%, we cannot because we go above 10%. Of course, if they hit that 10% right now, that means they would be another bank to fail. They're at 9.88% right now. 9.88%. If they hit that 10%, that means Credit Suisse will be going bankrupt. Now, here's the scary thing. Swiss bank shares halted late this morning, and they fell by a fifth. The record lows plummeting earlier this week. And people are calling it from the fallout from SVB, but it's not. Swiss National Bank said they will aid Credit Suisse financially, if necessary, to keep them afloat. Of course, this is causing scattering problems throughout the globe and the global banking system and global bank stability. Silicon Valley Bank, of course, started the instability, but it's falling everywhere. I mean, even the Pan-European Stock Index, the 600, fell by 3% today. This is happening globally. Anywhere that is a Western nation, or an alliance in the NATO alliance, is facing these issues at drastic numbers. We're seeing these debts, of course, being fought off by all these countries, and the new fears of stable of the global finance system are rising, especially after Credit Suisse's disclosure of problems in its financial reportings, prompting Swiss's central bank to pledge financial support if necessary. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Credit Suisse's shares, of course, plunged 20% today alone before rebounding somewhat, but I don't see it going well anytime soon for any of us. This is not a false flag situation. These banks are really failing. The problem is Biden went, instead of taking taxpayer dollars, he went and had more money printed in order to cover these financial situations. So technically it wasn't taxpayer money, but that inflation rate that we were trying to slow is going to start increasing again. And it's going to happen. You print more money without any actual physical backing, your inflation rate goes up. There's no question. Federal Reserve talking about raising a quarter of a point. There's another 0.25. I mean, pretty soon people won't be able to afford anything. Banks are already having to take high-risk investments in the market in order to boost income, which obviously is not helping anybody. We got banks like HSB Bank or HSBC, which of course I'm worried about, down 12% right now. Credit Suisse down 30% total. We got HSB and of course Burns Santander down 12. So you're looking at 12% on both those banks right there. I mean, this is craziness. S&P is only down 2%, but it's just a wait for another fall. The material weakness and the relative to bank failures, apparently misstated in financial reportings, added to the fail and maintain effectiveness of monitoring over banks. I mean, the problem is banks aren't reporting something truthful. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, just print money and give it away. That's what they're doing. Regional banks are continuing to fall into this crisis period right now, and steep decline amidst everything happening. And these are regional banks. Looking at like First Republican Bank, which is being watched closely since the Santa Clara-based Silicon Valley Bank collapse, which shares dropped more than 21% market value on market closure today. First Republic Bank is the bank I've been talking about. That was going to be the next bank to fail, and it is bigger than Silicon Valley Bank, and I guarantee it fails. It's sad to say. PacWest Bancorp shares declined by, of course, 13% in California. In Ohio, KeyCorp and Fifth Third Bancorp both fell 4%. I mean, watching these banks fall, these are not interest or stock share percentages. These are percentages of covering deposit. So technically, PacWest is below that 10% now. They can't cover more than 90% of their deposits. So technically, they're almost in default. Well, technically, they would be in default. It's crazy. Stark drops seen Monday, of course, impacting everything. Of course, those drops are not stopping. They've continued day after day now. After Silicon Valley Bank fallout continues to spread. I mean, when New York's Signature Bank was shuttered on Sunday because it became the second largest failure in the period. I mean, people should be preparing. People should be buying goods that they need to make sure if something happens, you are ready. This is not a drill anymore. I was talking to some other hosts of other shows, and even Dan Bongino is jumping on the bandwagon. Get prepared. I mean, we're both looking at the same statistical information we're looking at, and that means America would have to go to war in order to clear this debt issue. If we don't go to war, we end up in a depression, a Great Depression at that. No question about it. Otherwise, you have a depression or skyrocketing inflation, and you become Venezuela anyways, with people not being able to buy anything, even though it's not a depression because goods are available. Deep concern. Concern upon depositors. People withdrawing money from regional institutions, putting their funds in bigger banks is not going to be helping. Honestly, bigger banks don't do anything. That's what I'm saying. Dan Bongino is pretty up to date with what's going on. We talk to a lot of the same people. And to hear some of the stories coming out, not only of bigger government officials that don't want to report their names, saying that the government's in turmoil, the banking system is not safe at this point. Joe Biden, of course, is trying to stress that the banking system is safe amid the turmoil. He's going to face criticism. He is already facing criticism from many on the right over the rescue operation of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. He underscored that American taxpayers won't bear the cost. Well, where does a bailout come from? Who does it affect the most? That's the biggest questions. Regional banks are feeling the ripple effects of increasing incidences. I don't know how many small banks have now closed or shuttered because of this, but there is a number. The risk of deposit outflows is elevated. A lot of people are trying to get their money out of the banks. That's why I'm saying do it while you can. Yeah, when Dan Bongino jumped on the Get Prepared wagon, I messaged him, find out what's going on with his side. He said he sees it coming too. Even the top officials that he has talked to have said the same thing. And then Biden, of course, taking on drug prices with inflation fines. This is ridiculous. The cost of goods is going up. So now he's going to fine companies that produce medications. His administration would subject 27 drugs to inflation penalties. That means if they try to raise the rate because it costs more for them to produce it, they will get charged a fine. That is right. The company that costs more to produce something cannot raise their price, even though they have to sell it at a loss. Otherwise, they will get fined by the federal government. Okay, we are a government for the people, by the people, not a government that controls every aspect of our lives, forces companies to do nothing, of course, not have anything that they can do by themselves or step out of line because they're going to be forced to. With these penalties on drug makers, it's going to prices charged rise faster, of course, than inflation, according to the president. But inflation, the problem is with inflation is the higher cost goods go up higher. They don't go up slower, they go up faster. We see that from cars to houses and everything else that skyrocketed until interest rates went through the roof. Now they can't sell them. We're talking the failure to pay the rebate or to take the rebate will face a penalty equal to 125% of the amount of the rebate, basically. Credit unions are not affected by banks, Brian. They're two separate entities. That's why I said local credit unions are a lot safer. because they have to have money on hand, and their insurance is not FDIC. It is, I can't even remember, CBS something. It's a credit bureau securities insurance. So CBSI. So they're a lot safer. It's not the federal government. It's an actual private insurance company that has plenty of money to fund it. Go to a credit union. And now over 20 states, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, 20 states have officially approved using digital currency and only digital currency that the United States mints. So they're basically making it legal to hold any other digital currency now. One by one, these states are falling to it because they think they're just an update on financial principles. This bill that's going through all these states, I mean, it's getting called out some places, but not a lot. I mean, it's one thing after another. Of course, job layoffs are just starting again. Meta to cut 10,000 jobs in its second round of layoffs now. 10,000 more jobs Meta is going to cut this year, making it the biggest tech company to announce a second round of massive layoffs. As the industry braces for deep economic downturn, they know what's happening. Even big companies like Meta or Facebook know what's happening. A digital currency is not good. I will never accept a digital currency as my trading currency for my country. I do not want to be told where I can spend money, how I can spend money, or what I can spend money on. As banks are already trying to title code for buying a gun versus ammunition as different title codes, so they can track people's purchases on firearms and everything else, is ridiculous. But seeing this happen, it's happening everywhere. Companies Meta was supposed to be hiring 5,000 people. Now they're laying off 10,000. Of course, that was the jobs projection that we've seen in January with that extra 10,000 jobs on there. That was Meta's. How do we stop it? You don't accept it as a trade. If you don't accept a digital currency in trade, Linda, they cannot force it. I hate to say it. It's like cryptocurrency. But here's the thing. Government digital currencies are like cryptocurrencies, but they're not, because they're not blockchain. It's a centralized currency. So it's a huge problem watching what's happening there. Tyson Foods is laying off nearly 1,700 employees in May at 2 chicken plants, Arkansas and Virginia. One in the Van Buren, Arkansas, and Glen Allen, Virginia. The Van Buren plant is going to lose 900 employees as they're going to be closing that chicken plant. So if you know anybody that works at the Van Buren plant for Tyson Foods, let them know they are closing it. Because I don't think the employees even know yet. This is crazy. The decision is not easy, according to them, but reflects the bordering strategic and strengthening of our poultry business by optimizing and operations. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Big companies, too big to fail, laying off employees left and right. And it's not just them. We're watching company after company having to close factories. I mean, Tyson employed back in 2022 142,000 people. Now they're looking at under 100,000 employees. Nobody's talking about the biggest problems in the world, but let's see what they actually are. Now, that sad fact is Saudi Arabia used to be a slave, basically a force of ours, because the only defense they had was us. This has totally drastically changed now. OPEC is no longer under U.S. control in any way, shape, or form. We know that just because the deal, of course, that China brokered peace with Iran. And now here's another problem that just came up today. Saudi Arabia is looking at investing heavily in Iran very quickly, they claim. Saudi Arabia's finance minister today said that the Saudi investments in Iran could happen very quickly following the agreement that restored diplomatic ties. What he's quoted for saying is there's a lot of opportunities for Saudi investment in Iran. We don't see we don't see long-term of any agreements that would break that. So they're definitely going to invest. I mean, just reestablishing and reopening relationships just on Friday. Within 2 months, of course, of China stepping in to have talks after years and years of hostility. China is now becoming the world power. I'm sorry. We were the world power for a short period of time. I'll be honest, we were. But we're not going to last. As stocks are sliding, banks are the safety net of banks are feared to spread. I mean, even Boeing having problems shifting on its factory floors. Number of corporations in the U.S. laying off people. The leverage of China is far greater than we could have ever expected. No way to put the toothpaste back in the tube. America stood for too long with no actual true goal. Of course, this whole forced down of the U.S. drone by a Russian fighter, the whole thing they're not saying is it was not in international waters. It was close to Ukraine, on the border, almost on the border of Ukraine, over the Black Sea, which means we could say it was a blazing interruption or blazing violation of international law by the two Russian Su-27 jets, saying, of course, the U.S. saying unsafe and unprofessional by doing this, but having a Reaper drone inside of airspace that would be considered Ukrainian airspace during a war, which we agreed we would not interfere with Russia's war with them, even though we're supplying weapons. We are pushing for war. We are pushing for an unattended escalation. We knew what Russia was going to do. No matter what anybody wants to say, supposedly the M9 downed in international waters, but it was right inside of international waters. We don't even know. Of course, several times before the collision, the Su-27 dumped fuel and flew in front of the MQ-9. So obviously they gave warning. I mean, these drones have air-to-air missiles. They can take evasive action. The U.S. purposely kept flying the drone after it was given warning. It is a game that is happening. Russia gave warning by dumping fuel in front of the jet. That's a sign that you're within airspace. We weren't answering, so it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy watching this. I mean, supposedly international airspace southwest of Crimea when its transponder was intercepted by two Russian fighter jets. Supposedly. But yet, in less than 30 minutes from the time they intercepted the transponder signal to the jets downed the or MQ-9, it was less than 30-minute span, including the multiple flights, at least 3 or 4 passes of their jets spraying jet fuel, showing that they were going to do this. This is not a joke. Yeah, they downed a spy balloon or a spy plane instead of letting it spy. Oh, just craziness. And of course, U.S. and Russian military chiefs are in talks right now after the downed drone. And U.S. top generals say the crash of the U.S. surveillance drone after being intercepted by Russian jets showed Moscow increasingly aggressive behavior. While Russia warned Washington that flying drones near Crimea risk escalation. We knew it did. This wasn't a question. It's just crazy what's happening out there. Absolutely crazy. We knew that we were trying to entice Russia to do something, and Russia did something. And now the U.S. is going to say that there might be a reaction. We might react to what happened. That Russia's acting in a provocative nature and leading to an escalation. Russia didn't fly their drone over our country or our property. We're trying to do it to them. This is ridiculous. I mean, I love the United States, but at some point, you have enough problems going on. We have North Korea long-range missile launches happening that can carry nuclear payloads happening from submarines. We have China showing hypersonic weapons. Now Russia hypersonic weapons. Yes, we have a hypersonic jet that could travel Mach 25. No, nobody really talks about it. It was a DARPA development. But the missiles that Russia's launching now are Mach 29. I don't think people understand how fast that is. And the faster craft will be the one that lives. When you get a plasma cloud above a Mach 29, say a Mach 15, and you have a Mach 16 plasma cloud, and they go to collide, the Mach 16 cloud basically just obliterates the lower class. Even though the speed is not that much difference at that time, the variance in plasma temperature is greatly different. That means the faster craft will not be able to be intercepted. So the United States government right now is saying we can intercept these hypersonic nuclear missiles. The only way to intercept them would be to attack them from the back and go faster than they can travel. Laser-based weapons can't track that fast. That's the problem. Mach 29 laser-based weapons are no match. A plasma cloud is light. Yeah, they were economy-friendly drones. This is crazy, though. I mean, Mach 29 is just ridiculous. Looking at hitting Mach 30 now in wind tunnels in China with their new hypersonic missile. Mach 30, that's 23,000 miles an hour. 30 times the speed of sound. 23,000 miles an hour. Yeah, U.S. is working on hypersonics. DARPA has a hypersonic jet, if you want to look it up. It's really easy to find, even though it's not prominently out there. I don't know why. But at Mach 25, I believe, is what we have now, the Falcon project. The HTV-2 is an unmanned rocket-launched aircraft that glides through the Earth's atmosphere at speeds above Mach 20. That's the HTV-2. Nobody talking about it. We've had that since, I think it was 2004. I think it was 2004. Of course, now we're setting new record. 2011, for sure. We broke that speed. It's crazy, though. And people don't even know about it. That's the crazy part. It's you need headlights at that speed. You can't see where you're going at that speed, even though it's remotely ground controlled. There's no reason to stress out or do anything. Just be prepared at this point. Pentagon, of course, is rejecting Russia's airspace claims after downing the U.S. drone. Russia is allowed to claim airspace over Crimea. They took Crimea almost 10 years ago. Cannot all of a sudden say, no, that's international airspace. They've had physical possession for over 10 years. It's just crazy though, watching everything that's happening out there, you guys. It's even more crazy that our government thinks they're going to get away with it. Pushing and pulling and forcing countries to do what we want when we want them to do it. God bless you all. And of course, if you guys can donate, please do. We are desperately in need. We are desperately, desperately in need of funds to help people in need right now. So every dollar counts. I know people don't have a lot of money that they can afford to donate, but if you can afford to donate $1, there's 33 people in here, that would be $33. That would help at least a family with a meal. But God bless you all. I will see you guys Friday night. Hopefully Friday night. If not, tomorrow night. Hopefully nothing will happen before then, but it is getting worse every day. We are seeing it happen. We have to stand for our country. We have to stand up and be ready. And I'm serious, get ready, because something is happening. Something bigger than I can explain, bigger than people that can tell me what's going on can explain. There's serious things happening right now. And it's only going to get worse. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful night. We will be back Friday night for sure. Hopefully not tomorrow night. But God bless you. God bless America, the true heart of America, not the America we see today, but the constitutional America our forefathers demanded and built. God bless that America. And let's work to regain that America every day. God bless you all, and good night.